Hey everybody. Today I want to talk to you about the most expensive piece of jewelry that I own. It's not a necklace, it's not a watch, it's not a ring. It's the most expensive piece of jewelry that I own, and none of you can actually see it. Now, with that said, before any of you go to the dark place, I can make it through TSA, I don't have any pat down issues, there's not rings in strange places. I'm a relatively average Joe with a very expensive piece of jewelry that none of you can see. Unless you know how to look. If you would look at my x-rays, you would see a ring inside of me around my esophagus. It's an FDA approved device called the Linx implant. It's a ring of titanium covered magnets, and as you can see in this photo, it quite closely resembles the candy bracelets that many of you have eaten. It's about the size of a quarter, and it works in a similar fashion. The only difference is the candy costs about, I don't know, $50,000 less than the implant. Give or take, depending on insurance and doctor and whatever. But before I talk too much, I've got a question for you. How many of you experience heartburn? Daily, weekly, monthly, less, more? So if you experience heartburn daily, it might be a good idea to talk to your doctor about options. Now, of course, the first option is PPIs, which proton pump inhibitors. They help eliminate acid in your stomach, or the pumps that produce the acid in your stomach. I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the answers. I'm not a doctor. Trust me. But 1 in 5 Americans, or 20%, experience heartburn symptoms once per month. 5% of those experience it daily. 43% of that is genetics, mom, dad, grandpa. My grandmother carries Tums in her purse, and I used to always have a bottle with me in my car. Not to mention taking the PPIs twice a day. The standard treatment, of course, like I said, are those over-the-counter or prescription medications, which have among the highest sales volumes in the United States. It's approaching, in 2012, it was approaching $10 billion. It's a huge industry. So for me, they helped for a while, but the symptoms returned. And I also had a hernia, so I had pain in my chest. I had coughing. I still have the coughing a little bit a year after the implant. Today is 1 year since my implant. Everyone keeps asking for a follow-up. And honestly, I'm fine. I'm in a good place. The implant has been there for a year. I haven't had any issues, no trouble swallowing. I'm a completely normal person, except I probably can eat more garbage than I did before because honestly, I don't experience that pain. I mean, I can drink coffee now without heartburn or issues. Now, with that said, if I overdo it, which doesn't happen often, but if I were to overdo it, it honestly is a normal level of heartburn. I can still experience it. I haven't had any problems at all. So let's go back to PPIs for a second. There are some side effects. Studies have suggested an increased risk in hip, spine, wrist fractures in patients on high levels of those acid suppression medications. A casual relationship has been noted between acid suppression and reduced absorption of calcium as well, which there may be as much as a 41% reduction in calcium absorption after 14 days of treatment. And that's kind of scary. My doctor, when I spoke with her, when she recommended potentially doing this link, said that the number one thing that she sees people for in their older age is fractures and broken bones. So, it isn't good to be on stuff like that long term, probably. With that said, there are also some studies, and I don't know, I haven't researched it lately, but there are some studies that potentially link dementia risks to long term PPI usage. Again, not a doctor, haven't read up on it, but I've did a lot of research about a year ago before the surgery. What other options are out there? So the Nissen fundoplication is currently considered the gold standard for treatment of GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's a procedure that's been around for about 50 years and involves wrapping a portion of your stomach around itself, or around the esophagus rather, to help tighten that gastroesophageal sphincter. It does come with a list of side effects, which some were worrying to me. Now, of course, do your own research because you might find that that's the best option for you. For me, I liked the idea of the Linx. I went to a doctor and was actually going to get the Nissen fundoplication. But with that said, after speaking with him, he said, well, there's this other surgery. He doesn't do it himself. He suggested a doctor based out of St. Clair Shores, Dr. Hawasali. And I met with him. I did my homework, which I think is important with any sort of surgery or any life changing thing that you're gonna have done. So I met with the doctor, and I felt it was the best option for me. I like the fact that if something goes wrong, it can be removed. It's not permanent. It's not altering my body in any way, shape, or form. So the Nissen fund application has been around for about 50 years. After that, along comes the Linx. What it basically does is put pressure around the esophageal junction with magnets that are strong enough to put pressure on the opening of the stomach, but weak enough to open when pressure is put on it. So food, when you swallow, it opens enough to let food swallow or to food go down, to have food go down, and then you can it closes back up. I haven't had any swallowing issues, nothing at all. Some people have experienced when they have it, depending on their surgery or surgeon or their body, some issues swallowing at first, and then they tend to go away. I was a gold standard case, I think, and I had zero issues from the onset. I had nothing. I mean, I was scared to eat. Don't get me wrong, but I could eat every hour. Like I ate every hour. And I think that's the biggest thing too. As long as you follow what the doctors tell you to eat something small continually just to keep stretching the links and to keep it going, I think you'll be, well, I shouldn't say that, but I was all right. The other thing that I did is I took a lot of Aleve to keep swelling down, so that I didn't experience that as well. That was something that I found on a Facebook group. The surgery for Linx is performed laparoscopically. It typically is an outpatient procedure, depending, and they say that you can resume eating normally the next day or the same day. I was told that I could not. I was kept overnight in the hospital, and they monitored my progress. I had a barium swallow, which is drinking this disgusting goo, and that was my breakfast the next day to make sure that everything worked properly. And it did. So I was fine and released that next day. Again, I was sore and scared, not sore from the incision so much or at the Linx area, but from the gas that they pump you up with to do the laparoscopic surgery. It was uncomfortable and at times painful, but I didn't actually take any pain medication whatsoever, with the exception of the Aleve. So I didn't use any of the narcotics or anything. I was completely fine. Your results obviously may vary depending on your surgery and your body. Don't sue me, blah, blah, blah. What else did I want to talk about? The doctor did say that I'd have some variety of physical therapy involved, and what that was eating every hour on the hour, something small, a cracker, just swallowing something continually. I didn't. I tried soft foods. I was nervous, and I ended up going right away to crackers and harder foods. I can eat breads. I can eat pastas. I don't have any problems. I can eat chicken. I can eat anything. Um, so I'm back to normal. Honestly, it's been a year now, and I haven't had any issues. Knock on wood. Long term, the 3-year results of a 5-year clinical study assessed 100 patients with chronic GERD before and after treatment with the Linx, and results from the clinical study showed that after the treatment with the Linx system, 91% of patients achieved freedom from their daily PPI medication or daily acid reflux medication, whatever that might have been. 92% of patients achieved significant symptom improvement. 100% of patients eliminated severe regurgitation, so if they had any issues prior, that was gone. 99% of patients eliminated daily sleep disruption due to heartburn, where you wake up in the middle of the night with acid, which I used to. I should also note that my father had passed away of esophageal cancer, which is another reason why I definitely considered this surgery, probably more than I would have otherwise. It was definitely something that was on my mind. He passed away at 48. I'm 33, so that's a scary prospect. Not to say that if he would have had this, that would have saved him or anything like that, but that was on my mind when I decided to have the surgery. 94% of patients that have had the Linx surgery during this study said they were satisfied with their overall condition, and I'm doing very well myself. Next year, I think the 10-year data should be out to determine what it looks like long term. Who knows? Anything's possible. I can't say what tomorrow will look like, but today I'm good, and I think that's all I can ask right now. So I'm not saying that anyone or everyone with heartburn should run out and get this or talk to your doctor about it, but honestly, if you do have chronic or long term reflux, you might want to consider it. It's something to consider for sure. Honestly, I think that's about it. I have had very good success with the Linx system, and so far, And yeah, so any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, have a great day. And that's my 1 year follow up. I, I do want to say one other thing. And when I was thinking about having this surgery, I researched a lot and I reached out to a lot of people to ask, how they were doing. And one of the best answers that I heard from someone was that, yeah, I didn't update because there weren't any updates. And that's kind of how I felt about it. I mean, a lot of people have reached out to me to ask how I'm doing and how things are. And the reason I haven't posted anything is because I'm fine. I'm back to normal and it's not something I even think about any longer. I've gone through airport security. I have never had any issues. So, knock on wood that that all continues and that there aren't any problems. Again, who knows what tomorrow will bring, but today I'm good. Have a great day, guys. Any questions, like I said, let me know. Thanks.